game here, Effie.
Oh yeah, I mean they looked so impressive after the last game that I'm a believer. But Quincy Crew's draft does have insane snowball potential, so EG are gonna have to make sure to not give up too much in this laning phase. But their lanes look pretty solid, honestly. They have two really good supports that's securing the lane. Naga is going to be a bit slower than the Wraith King we saw last game, but I think that Mars can still play in conjunction with Snapfire the same way that a Storm Spirit can. Probably to less of effectiveness at killing degree, but I think they can slow them down just enough, honestly.
I think in game number 1, Nightfall definitely showed off, the aggression, the ability to, make that chaos early on, and paired just excellently with, the Snapfire and also with Abed. Just, the Ember, yes, moves a little bit slower, just because, he does want to farm up a bit. But I think we'll still be seeing, a lot of aggression coming out from the side of EG. And I'm curious to see how Quincy is going to handle that because they need to be the ones who are the aggressors.
Yeah, well, they do have this IO Slardar lane that can pop off, right? And if this Slardar gets his blink early, or just sits in the lane and even goes for something like an armlet to take advantage of the overcharge more, they're going to have this one lane that can just rotate when needed to with the relocate, right? If Quincy Crew can get off to a snowballing kind of start, they have heroes that can make plays for them. So it's not like the end of the world or anything. Plus, they've got Quinn on his famous Void Spirit. It's not a Kunkka, and definitely not a BKB first Kunkka.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough position that Quinn was in that first game. But this is, again, one of the heroes that he's probably best known for at this point. And it is pretty evenly matched up, though, against an Ember Spirit. It really depends on, who's got the better technical skills, I think, is what a lot of the mid players say. I know Shaggy definitely prefers playing the Ember over the Void Spirit, I believe. But often, it's a very dissimilar sort of hero.
Yeah, most Spirit matchups, I would say, are just skill dependent, but I would give Ember the edge in this one, just maybe like 60-40 or 55-45, so definitely player dependent. But it's nice that the Spirits have evolved over the years in a way where either of them could come out on top, because it used to be that Storm was just incredibly dominant versus the other two, but it's not the case anymore.
I mean, it's one of those things, though, too, that, Quinn is known as the best NA mid at this time. Are you saying that Quinn can't run away with this over in the mid lane?
I mean, I think both Quinn and Abed are insane players. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say one is better than the other mechanically on laning phase. I think they're both really impressive in their own right.
That's a cop out of it.
I mean,
Effie, but
I
understand
if you're gonna
why
ask me which player I like more, I don't want to like start. I don't want to upset somebody. They're all great, right?
I feel like there's so many people that would just hands down be like, yeah, but this person. Yeah, I feel like Lacoste is one of those people that would just go straight out of the gate. Like, yeah, but this person.
Yeah, but it's Abed.
I know, it is Abed, that is true. But then again, it's Quinn Callahan. He's on his Void Spirit, so.
We'll see how it goes. They've got double stick on this bottom lane, which is just really good because they're going to rack up so many charges with Rebuke and Little Shredder being cast over and over. So this is a high sustain lane. They're actually not in threat to die as a TA and as a Tidehunter with these sticks available.
Well, that's a bit of a relief considering that game number 1 started to slide out of their hands.
Oh yeah, because we saw the effectiveness of Snapfire in punishing any kind of out-of-position hero, right? Especially when she was paired with a Wraith King. There's not that much of a kill threat compared to the last game, just because the heroes are tankier than they were before.
Ooh. And we talked about Paisley needing to pop off with this IO, and this is a nice start. They get a kill on Jerax.
This is a little bit reminiscent of last game, right? Jerax is playing like incredibly sacrificial 5. He actually has an empty inventory and 2 mangoes, right? So he doesn't have any stat items to survive if he steps out of position. And he spent his remaining 200 gold on more region for his carry. That's a dedicated 5 player.
It's definitely how all the cores would like all their supports to play, for sure. It's the baby bird meta of opening your mouth and depositing salve into said mouth.
Oh my god. It's so boring though. I'm actually so sick of it. I really can't wait for the new patch. Every time I talk about these things that have been driving me crazy, I just feel so jaded towards Dota. It's like, 10 solves in the laning phase? Sure. Bounty runes and water runes and all the runes. Great.
Well, it's coming soon, so, you know, you only have to put up with it a little bit longer. I'm sure everybody is very excited for this new patch, although I'm not sure what this whole thing about the techies means, but, you know.
Yeah, I would honestly be down if they just rebooted the map entirely and just change so many camps around and just make the map look unrecognizable. That'll be fun.
Oh, I don't know if the community will be down with that. That sounds a little scary here, but plenty of damage here for Crit. He's gonna try to jump to low ground, so he'll survive on 20 HP. But you have to be careful. That anchor smash and the damage coming out from TA is immense. Luckily, they didn't have the meld just yet.
Yeah, so Little Shredder is a really proficient tool in burning off refraction charges, but as far as kill threat goes, I do think the TA and Tide pose more of a kill threat to the Snap than she does to them, right? Just because you have to commit your one damaging spell to burning off refraction, and Mars isn't going to follow up with enough. So these supports on the side of EG, particularly Snapfire, has to be very careful in their positioning. Thane did die that one death, but I don't think it's going to be repeated, right? As long as he keeps himself away in order to Nightmare the Slardar, it should be smoother sailing than it was in the last 4 minutes for EG's safe lane.
I feel like the main way that we're gonna see that happen, is in the top lane. Plenty of spirit damage. I'm gonna go for a little bit of a dive here, but there's the Nightmare coming out from Jerax. To put a little bit of damage over on Kaz. It does have the bash though, so.
Yeah, so long as Slardar is slept, it'll be fine. But actually, Abed just stole Quinn's small camp stack and Crit rotated over to make sure he would just be there to punish the Void Spirit if he did try to contest it. So that was a nice little clean map movement.
Forward here, Cookie Hop gonna slow down Kazu. They wanted to go for Arteezy, but they're not gonna be able to get that, as Milan is just left watching his Slardar die. Good rotation though, coming out from Crit.
Yeah, really good. I like what we're seeing here, right? Snapfire put herself in a position where she almost died in the bottom lane and just decided that it's time to roam the way that we like to see Crit do it. But instead of potentially dying bottom, she goes mid, gets that small camp, walks into the top lane, and kills off the pesky Slardar, who's been applying so much pressure, right? He's kept both heroes near their tower for so long that punishing him like that can be a very simple matter if you just rotate, right? The lane has not been near Slardar's tower at all.
Now, it's one of those things, I know that you're talking during the drafting phase, and Synderen mentioned this as well, that, you know, he really wants to see the Slardar kind of pop off. And, you know, he's not feeding by any means, but he's definitely, I don't think you could consider him, you know, popping off either.
I mean,
how much is that going to end up, you know, affecting this? Because like you said, Jerax, he's playing very, very careful. I think the only time that you'll probably see him throw himself forward is to, you know, try to take care of his Naga Siren, or in this case, kind of mess around with the stacks and Io.
Oh, nice. Jerax just sentry blocked the Ancient Camp and interrupted a stack. Really important in slowing the TA down. But yeah, so Slardar got what he did out of the lane. It's not like you can fully contest a Naga Siren, especially if she has a Bane, but they did pressure that lane a lot and they traded farm. It's more so going to be what he does after he gets his couple of key items and that Blink Dagger that we're going to look at Slardar.
They're not happy about Abed taking up residency here in this jungle, but again, it is an Ember Spirit, and if you've got a Remnant up, you should be fine here. As Nightfall finds himself upon low, he's gonna harpoon him over to the wall and slaughter himself the Tide Hunter.
Another clean rotation and easy looking good.
Okay, Jerax is just, you know, making me be a liar here, as they do find him here in the top lane, but as more I think of the Slardar and the Io finding that opening, realizing that he was pretty much all alone here.
But more importantly, they got that Jerax kill. Like, they traded the arena, right, and their stacks, but they got that Jerax kill when the catapult was over. So EG are just going to lose this tower, and there's nothing that they can do to contest it because they already committed their Mars to go bottom. So I would say that Quincy crew are pretty happy with that. It's just unfortunate that Ovid stole another stack. He's just been taking all of their jungle farm. 2 games in a row now. He did the same thing last game. And I wonder if they're even going to find a way to take the ancient stacks that Quincy have set up.
Abed definitely playing that thief role here and being able to reduce some of those resources on the map.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult because how do you stop him without getting multiple people over to that area to help lock him down and punish him?
Radiant's bottom tower.
And they actually got the bottom tower too. There was no one really there except Palmo, and there's not that much he can do if a Snapfire and a Mars are parked on his lane. So they do end up trading safe lane tower for safe lane tower. Oh, they're actually smoking.
Creeping their way through here.
He has
We're on
an
this
armlet.
bottom side, hoping they can find the TA, perhaps.
So Nightfall has an armlet on Mars, and I really like it this game because all of their damage is physical coming out of Quincy Crew, and that extra armor is going to go a long way. Also, you can just toggle between these auto attacks, be a little cheeky, but it's going to be very pesky. I really like that he got this instead of a early blink.
Look at their positioning over here. Waiting very patiently to put the little shredder down. The fortification pop here.
Yeah, but this early armlet, I think, is going to give him so much and enable him to just move around the map more comfortably, too.
They're looking to fight. The jump forward over to Nightfall. He does manage to get the arena off, though. Pin has it over to the wall. The damage from the little shredder. Find the kill. Now Quinn is not looking too great here, but it's not sure that they have any other lockdown just yet. There's a 4 though coming out from Abed. He wants this kill, and there it is. There's the final hit. As now you are joining onto the fight. They've got a little bit deep here. They've got the Isle. Cookie Hop coming out from Crit, trying to buy himself a bit more time. As Abed is just being allowed to run around. Searing Chain's not going to be able to land over onto Milan. Landing on War. They need just a little bit more damage to get the kill on Milan, and they're not quite finding it. Nice Nightmare though coming out. There it is. There's the kill on the IO as Abed's just running them around in circles right now, Effie.
Yep, he just pushed the Euro to the limits there, and Remnant just came off of cooldown. So he could have been in a dangerous position committing to the IO for that long, but just timed everything perfectly. Really well played. And they actually had the TA rotate out too, so that's a lot of time Yawar wasted for nothing really. It's unfortunate that the Tidehunter was level 5 throughout all of that exchange, but it was just a product of moving around the jungle and stacking camps and not really sitting on a lane for too long. But he did get the Tome of Knowledge and is now level 6. So they actually have the potential to make a play with this Ravage now.
I feel like they've really got to make something happen with it, though, if they use that Ravage, because the second that that's no longer on the board, it just signals to EG, like, oh, the door's open. We can go right back in again. They are lacking a bit in the form of lockdown to be able to hold some of these guys down.
Well, Kezu does have Blink up on Slardart. It's just a matter of coordinating the next move that they're going to make. Because with the Slithering Crush initiation into a follow-up Ravage, it should be enough to kill the target that you're going to commit to.
Run, little piggy. They'll follow up here with the reload from Milan. Couple clicks here. They'll be able to ensure that Jerax will fall. Nightfall, though, pinning Kaiser over to the wall. The Snapfire Kiss is coming in hot. I'm not sure they're going to be able to heal him enough. No, they cannot. Milan going to have to just zip back on where he came from here as Ponlo's just swimming around over on the side. There's a nice spear. There's a slight and another dead Ponlo. And a Blink Dagger also picked up now for the side of Nightfall. So this gets even scarier.
Yeah, that was a great arena by Nightfall because they killed that Slardar so quickly that there was no hope for them to reload back to their original position, right? And if they can take advantage of these reload ganks and actually make them regret doing it, that is huge for them because they are so dependent on the IO kind of being the crux of what makes Slardar strong right now.
Look at this. They know exactly that Yawar wants to be in the triangle. He wants to be farming. He wants to be getting stacks. And EG just full on invade. They've got a smoke. And they're really just kind of hurting Quincy Crew around. Again, they do have the Ravage available. They do find Ponlo, though. That's a lot of HP already just gone. Still alive. Kezu, nice blink forward. Landing over onto multiples. Big Melt start coming out. They'll get the kill onto Jerax as it does end up falling. Get the Ravage off, though, and this is looking like they're going to be able to maybe... Can they get their hands on it? No, it's going to be able to slide away. Bottle through. It's not looking great for Crit, though, so Yawar will get himself a double kill, and they'll force them out of their triangle on the side of Quincy Crew.
Yeah, that's an ideal situation for Quincy Crew, to have them walk into the triangle and just defend it with your Ravage. That's something that Tidehunter excels at, right? You also have traps covering the cliffs and the hills, and you can chase heroes away. They did get that Ancient block off at the very least, so that's less farm for Yawar until they block it. Just another minute of Swan going down the drain. But yeah, really well played. Much needed gold from Quincy Crew. It would have been the ideal situation if they also caught Ember, but He just got away.
I mean, they almost did, right? But that's the one downside here, as again, they smoke right back into the same area. Pop the trap. Again, Ponlo, this time he does not have the Ravage, so he is just going to fold.
Yeah, this is the weakness of 5 Tidehunter, right? Because you take one good fight with your Ravage, and you kind of feel confident enough to deward your triangle and maybe get a little bit of your vision back up, but you're just a Tidehunter walking around with no Ravage and no means to keep an area after you retake it. So if EG want to, they can just go back into the triangle like they just did and punish. I don't know if I like 5 Tidehunter all that much. I know he's quite popular amongst some players, especially the greedier ones who do like to build things like Refresher and whatnot. But he just feels so hit or miss for me. Because if your laning stage doesn't go really well, and the stacks that you spend your early game doing get stolen, it kind of feels like you're just a one-spell hero.
Yeah, he definitely does feel a little niche in very particular drafts. They do spot out Arteezy, though. Going for the reload, set up with the Yules into the Remnant, and they'll get themselves a kill on the Naga Siren. So, very nice gank here coming out. Be able to slow down the Naga's farming and give UR a little bit more time to catch up a bit. But
it's definitely a saving grace. EG are responding by trying to find an aggressive kill on their own, hopefully catching out somebody, but Quincy crew are wisely positioned away from them after that gank, and Yawar is safely in his own jungle. So he's actually 1k gold away from his Deso. Actually a little bit less, like 500 gold away from his Deso. This is going to be pretty big for them. They can start looking to play around Roshan as their primary objective now. Ravage should be coming off of cooldown. Oh, it's already off cooldown.
yeah, I was just about to mention that. I was like, all right, the Ravage is going to be back up. The timings are looking pretty good here if they can find some sort of engagement to take advantage.
Yeah, I think you wait for this Deso on TA, and you don't want to blow your spells before you're all in position to take that Roche, right? That's the thing that we talked about that is most important.
Well, it would have been a nice timing here if Kezu unfortunately didn't get picked off, but he does indeed have that happen. As Ponlo is gonna just barely make it out in time, but the chase is on over onto UR. Milan's here. Song gets used from Arteezy. Gonna get into position. Abed nearby. They've got Nightfall. Got Jerax. Quinn sitting on the back line, so looking to get any sort of pickup. They might be able to. Milan just melts though, and so does UR. Oh dear, that is not what they wanted at all. Quinn is now forced to just use those steps to run away defensively.
That was really well played. EG had such a good read on where Quincy crew were going to be in that moment, right? They just wanted to make sure they don't get any of the map control, and they understand how important it is to stop them from playing around the Roche area. The second Slardar steps foot on the lane, Nightfall and Crit are instantly there ready to take it. And then Arteezy with the great song setting up for them to follow up. It's all just so clean, Moxie.
You can see how excited they are after that. But no, you know, and it was interesting too, because we talked about the fact that Quinn is going to have to sit on the back lines. He's going to have to be the one who tries to like get these squishier supports, cancel, you know, whatever it is that Jerax is throwing out in terms of like Fiend's Grip. And he was in position with the Yules, but it just, the rest of the team wasn't there. It wasn't an advantageous fight, and there was just too many other bodies. So just EG bringing the numbers in and just getting very good positioning as well, so that they can just do these plans the way they are looking to do them.
They still have to play around this triangle, though. They have to play for this Roche objective, but that fight just set them behind almost extra 6k or 5k net worth here. Yeah, it's 5k net worth lead. And every fight they give away like that, we were talking about Slardar's need to snowball and pop off, and so far this Blink first build hasn't really paid off. They did find a couple of pickoffs, but unless he gets this BKB, if he gets caught out of position and they don't have the Slardar initiation, it's going to be way too difficult to play for the objective they need to. And the way that you play in the TA lineup typically is that you try to slow down her timings, right? This would be around the timing that you look to take this first Aegis. But by just taking one winning fight and slowing her down by another 2 minutes, it makes her gameplay a lot more difficult. So I think EG are in a really good position here. As I say that, Quincy crew are looking for their entry into this game through a successful smoke, but EG look like they're a really good read on it. Jerax breaking
And look
it
at Jerax. Typical position 5, getting in the right position, popping that smoke.
Yeah.
EG now chasing after them, forcing them out of their own jungle, well, out of their jungle, but
Yesterday he was just breaking all the smokes and dying. He's doing a good job, you know? Jarex has been stepping up to the plate a lot too, not just Nightfall. Both of them have been bringing their A game.
I mean, that's one of those situations where, you know, the support has the spidey sense, right? No one's showing on the map. I bet they're probably in this side. I will go walk onto the high ground during the nighttime and break their smoke. And even better is he didn't die during that, because usually that's what ends up happening here, the sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn is pinging out that rush. They're really desperate to take this, but they need some kind of entry into a successful fight. Otherwise, it's impossible to just walk in the pit.
I mean, they have a very powerful setup too, right? Because you've got this Tidehunter. You figure, okay, you know, early game Tidehunter is just so good. It's going to, you know, put that pressure down. It's going to make people think twice about, you know, pushing their way into a certain area. But you've got a Naga Siren over here. You've got someone who can reset the fight and position themselves to get that advantage. Like, that's scary.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but if you're getting Ravaged as Naga, you can definitely get blown up from full, right? With like a Melt hit and a Void Spirit and the amp damage. So it's definitely hard to reset into a Ravage, but it's a 5 Tide. There is no Blink Dagger. This hero can't look for the excellent opportunity or the split-second stun on the 2 backline heroes and potentially the Naga. This Tidehunter is entirely dependent on Slardar setting up, and his Void Spirit too. This is just why. So if 5 Tide is playing from behind, it really just looks so bad to me.
It's a hard game, and Ponlo, generally when I'm watching him play, he's pretty sacrificial, like, in his role. He doesn't normally have that farm, so you can see he's working on a Blink Dagger. He'd like to have it. He's got aspirational goals towards it, but it's still a very far ways off, and then the rest of his life is all planned out just in the form of wards in his quick buy.
Yeah, his game is a lot harder this time around,
Yeah.
for sure. And Slardar's
We'll
just waiting for his BKB now. How close is he? Yeah, he's still about 600 gold away from it, but when he does have it, they can probably look to take a cleaner fight. The timing has been slowed down though, right? We're talking about this first Aegis that they could have taken 3 minutes ago if they found the opportunity to, but EG just played the map so tightly that this first objective looks like it's never gonna happen, honestly.
I mean, UR did disassemble the Dragonlance and now has the BKB. So that is, you know, definitely a power spike here. And he's been doing a great job in terms of just keeping up with the net worth, right? Because, you know, you can see RTZ sitting at 11K, but we've got 11 over here on UR as well. So if they can find that opening, like you keep talking about, if, you know, Keze can find a great sort of blink, definitely want to finish up that BKB first. There's definitely potential here to kind of get the game back on the rails for the side of Quincy. But as I say that, I just realized Arteezy's done with a Scotty.
For sure, it's just a lot slower than they would have expected. And the trade-off for not playing the tempo that you want to is that this insane scaling of Naga is going to come into play. But now they might as well, they're going to wait for their Slardar BKB and their Void Spirit Ags. I'm not sure if Quinn finished it. Yeah, 50 more gold. So they're just going to wait for these 2 extra items to look for their go. But actually, this is an ideal smoke timing because Quinn's Ags is not online yet.
I can see you are, but here they're going to go drop those Snapfire Kisses. Quinn, though, does have the Yules, even though they go and they drop the arena, so he should be able to get out alive. No problem. 2 ultimates down over on the side of EG. They've got to be pretty happy about this. Jump back in. They see Abed Ponlo. Looking for the opening here. Cookie coming out from Crit's gonna buy. Oh, about to bash forward. The spear over onto Quinn. They just obliterate him. BKB is getting popped to both sides. As Nightfall does have to be a little bit careful. There is a decent amount of damage coming out from UR, but you are being held into place with those chains forced to pop the BKB Ponlo. Oh, the song from Naga getting into position. UR can't do a whole heck of a lot over here. Jirax waiting very, very patiently. They'll be able to take down Ponlo. Nice and easy like. And this tower, long into the side of EG.
Yeah, Palma was holding the Ravage to look for just a better one than the single Ravage on Ember Spirit because they wouldn't have had enough damage. TA was not close enough when Slardar was hitting him. When he finally saw the opportunity for a good one, when Mars walked in, I think we might see it here, Mars actually surprised them with the BKB and he had to cancel the Ravage. We see him doing the animation and just stop. So I just feel like EG are exploiting all of Quincy Crew's timings right now and they're doing it so well. And when the Tidehunter is just out of the way, you can just song, you can do whatever you need to, and VOR has to use his BKB here to get out. They just have no way to fight if they're not ravaging. Man, it's so hard to watch. I'm kind of in pain because I do want to see like an unconventional support do well, but maybe this wasn't the best game for it.
You're starting to sound like Courage. Whenever he's got one thing, he's like, I don't know about this, Moxie. Not to go back to this, but...
Yeah, because like you're first phasing your Tidehunter, right? I wouldn't put so much emphasis on it if it wasn't something that they prioritized over anything else. But they first phased this Tidehunter. They had an idea. They wanted to play around this Ravage, but they just haven't been able to.
I think one thing too, like we've been saying, Jerax, right place, right time, popping smokes. You've got Ponlo on this Tidehunter, which typically, you know, your position 5 is going to be the one who's kind of placing his body as the wall between any sort of ganks that are going to be coming forward and your cores. But in this case, this position 5 is so valuable for any sort of engagement that you want to take because of that Ravage, because that's like your big team fight sort of condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very scary for Ponlo here, poor guy.
I think EG played so tightly this game, right? They did not let them take any space on the map, and the one fight...
Oh, okay, all right, no, Yule's coming into play, has him joining back in, wants to get kill on Jerax, will be able to find it as Knight will drop the arena. Have to pop his own BKB. Multiple BKBs getting used here as they're going to try to chip down Ponlo. Ponlo's just erased again. There is no Ravage available for this fight. The song coming out now. Buyback from Jerax. They're getting into position. They want this kill on Quinn. Try to make his escape. He's pretty slippery, but nope. Guess who's here,
no.
Jerax? The spear down to low ground. Oh dear, that is not what you want. It's all right though. Abed making his way over. He's trying to find the right angle. They do have that illusion of Naga giving them the vision. Forward here, follow from Kazu, gonna slow them down just a little bit. And now Abed, oh, he'll fall over onto the backline. Speed Swift getting used over onto Yawar as Nightfall sitting very low. Can they finish off Quinn? Yes, they can, but they'll end up losing Nightfall. Milan sitting very low as well. Jerax looking for this opening. They'll find Milan. This is looking a little iffy now for Arteezy. They've been holding on to that Ravage. They've got a special one just here for the Naga Siren. Oh, the dodge, can they finish off Arteezy? That is the big question. Ponlo finally getting his hands on him. And they'll find a kill on Jerax. On top of that, Crit's not looking too great here either. The Blink 4 from Kazu. They've got their vision on Granny, and they'll put her down.
They can finally rush.
Yay!
They've been waiting forever. Oh man, yeah, that was just really unfortunate. So you'd think that the spear would connect in an area with 10 billion trees, but Void Spirit just manages to fly through every single tree to the low ground. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And because that Void Spirit got away, they definitely overextended in that chase, right? They walked uphill into their triangle. Tidehunter was respawning. Ember was really low on resources, didn't have that much mana, and yeah, Quincy group. That's the back in the game that they needed.
Well, Abed has to be so careful to follow up though from Nightfall. It's too late. Abed will fall, but they'll get Milan. Nightfall just trying to get a little bit more damage over onto Kaz. It doesn't quite have it though. Not when the BKB is up. And Yawar, look at this damage. They'll follow up with the crush. Another couple hits. He's trying to toggle the best he can, but no, Yawar. Too much damage from this TA.
Oh my god. I can't believe this all happened because Dota decided to push the Void Spirit through 5 trees. There were so many trees there, man. What?
Clearly it's rigged. The trees are, you know, on the side of.
Yeah, but I mean, this momentum is really great for Quincy crew, right? They're looking like themselves again. They've got to feel good. They've got the Aegis, they've got the confidence. Their moves are going to work now. And not only that, the net worth lead has been equalized. EG are only 1k up, but TA is really happy right now. All she needs is a gush and she can blow up any hero. We saw how that BKB did nothing for Nightfall when he was getting shredded by a TA.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now she's on top of the net worth to boot. So we've got an Aegis, we've got, you know, the Orchid online here for TA. She's got everything she needs really to kind of, you know, enable her. Not quite a steroid per se, right? Because that's usually something that is going to be buffing the hero directly, but has all the kits necessary, I guess is a good way to put it, to make sure that she can blow up these other characters. And Quinn's going to treat himself to a nice regen rune, so that's got to feel good too.
Also, Ponlo finally has his Blink Dagger, so this is the happiest he's been the entire game.
Ooh, they force out the BKB on Nightfall with that relocate. We'll pin Malone over to the wall. Nightfall's just gonna teleport away here because he was looking to try to get the jump, but not gonna be able to do it quite in time.
Dire's top tower.
At least they got Relo out of the way, right? That threat is gone for a little bit. Abbott's actually holding on to a double damage, and he finished up his Shiva's guard. He's queuing up BKB next, but Shiva is such an excellent itemization this game. You get the heal reduction versus the IO, you get the added armor versus the TA Tide and Slardar. So, really good pickup.
Oh, Jerax with the fast fingers, but Ponlo will be able to follow up with the Ravage. And they'll take down Jerax. UR needs to be careful here. They've got a lot of physical damage over onto Arteezy, but follow up here from Quinn. Nice silence over into Abed. He's gonna try to slay his own brother. The song at just the perfect moment, though, coming out from Arteezy will allow Abed to escape. As the rest of EG now running away. They're hunting for Arteezy. Have to be very careful. Ponlo going around the side. His fish sense tingling. As they'll throw out a net. Again, they'll drag back though over onto Abed. No, Abed, he's going to fall to UR. Just too much damage. The Snapfire Kiss is raining down here from Crit, but not doing enough. And now the Bloodthorn finished for UR.
That,
My God, this game has just swung so wildly.
yeah, I'm kind of getting whiplash here.
Look at the graph. Like, seriously, it's insane.
For sure. That looked like a really good fight for EG initially when they had the sleep on one and the grip on the other, but I think that was the blink revealed by Ponlo, and he just caught them completely off guard with that Ravage. That was just really good. So it looks like Quincy Crew's draft is finally coming into fruition. This is what they kind of had conceptualized when they went for this Tidehunter.
Uh-oh. I can smell Arteezy over here, but gonna focus down over on the tower.
Oh, is that Bloodthorn too?
Yep. Finished that up in the last fight, actually. All right, Nightfall, though, finding Ponlo. He's gonna try to punish him over here. Speed KB is gonna get used. Quinn can't do a whole heck of a lot, but he can bring the whole team in. Milan not looking too healthy, though. Is Kurt trying to get the final hit off? Yes, they'll be able to get it, but the follow-up there, beautifully done. They'll lose Milan. They'll end up losing Nightfall. Zeals up into the air. Oh dear, Naga Siren, the next to fall. The hunt is on. They want Abed next. Abed's gonna have to just remnant away, but Crit is not as lucky. Gets dragged right back into the arms of Quinn. And oh, they have the jump here. Jerax tried, but he couldn't keep him alive, as now they'll hunt for the Bane, find him in the trees, and that's a double kill.
This game has completely fallen apart for EG. This is the snowball that we were talking about and that we were worried about when we looked at Quincy Crew's draft, right? And it's finally in effect. You just need to get the ball rolling a little bit, and they can go high ground here. This is two sides of backs, potentially.
It's so weird because, like, you know, we talked about, yeah, they need to snowball. I don't think either of us imagined that they would snowball in this particular manner. Like, their story of this game is not what you would say textbook by any
Yeah,
means.
the comeback snowball, it's a good one.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, this all happened too, not just on the back of that spear, but just now they committed so much to killing a 5 Tidehunter with Ravage on cooldown. And if it just took too long to kill it even, that Quincy Crew were able to bring their entire team back with the reload and the high mobility of the Void Spirit. So if you're failing your initiations at this point of the game, reload is such a big threat because you're gonna get there instantly with your carry and just kill them, right? So I don't think Tidehunter is the best target at this stage for EG. It's not over for them, it's just one side, but it's looking pretty darn difficult, right? Quincy Crew are 11k gold up, and they've got the confidence too.
I mean, if this game has taught us anything so far, it's that the game is not over until it's actually over, because of just how fast things can shift. The winds of Dota change very fickle, but you can see EG's gonna just try to reclaim their triangle area, and they'll go for a smoke play as they are hunting over here. Ponlo, look at this. He sees where Arteezy is. He's gonna blink forward. Nightfall getting into position, though. Should they try anything? But that silence, the follow-up from Kazu. Slow them down just a little bit, and Nightfall gonna try to hold off some of this, but there it is. There's a Fiend's Grip coming out, though. Use the song. They want to get rid of Kazu. They know that he's a main player here in terms of locked, but Abed also getting slimes, getting dragged right back in. He's going to fall as Ponlo using the Ravage. The rest of EG is looking very, very scared here. Toss up into the air. Silence drag back over. Cookie Hop trying to buy some more time for Arteezy, but they just don't have it as now Nightfall. He is left alone, and he's just going to try to spear UR away, but he still will fall, this time to the IO. As Crit just nopes on out of here. Look at this. They wanted him. They wanted that reload.
They were close. Great job. Great job, Watermelon. You can be a support if you want to. I'm sorry.
You've changed the mind of Effie about your...
Well, I still feel 50-50 about it, right? But the game just snowballed in a way that we can finally see the strength of what they were trying to do with Tidehunter here. Well, we didn't mention actually that Kezi finished up his AC on Slardar, and TA has become so strong because of it. She shredded Nightwell again. They had to expend the grip to stop Slardar, but it just wasn't enough, right? You're gripping and you're using Song just to kill a Slardar. You have to worry about Void Spirit coming in. You have to worry about the Ravage that wasn't even expended. And of course the TA, who seems untouchable right now. Kind of like last fight. You go all in on one target and you're just gonna lose the rest of the fight.
It's actually super impressive too, because, you know, UR has been kind of that quiet force earlier on where, you know, we weren't seeing him like super active because he knew that he needed to get his farm. He needed to get his items. He was having his team make the space for him. And now that, you know, now that he has what is needed, now that he has, you know, the rest of his team stronger to survive in these fights, to be able to apply debuffs and whatnot, he's looking very powerful, sitting the top of the net worth, 26k, and then he's 12-1-7 right now. So even though, you know, they didn't get that early momentum that they necessarily wanted on the side of Quincy, they have just bounced back spectacularly.
Yeah, TA really just needs to get the ball rolling. It wasn't that he wasn't playing active, because he did try to show up for the fights, but TA was dependent on the lockdown from Slardar and Tidehunter to kill any targets here. And of course, now that Void Spirit has the silence and Ags, that's just an added way to kill Ember and other heroes that he wasn't able to do before.
Okay, well, there was the reload getting used. They want the kill on Orbit. Song comes out, though, from Arteezy. He's going to land on 4 arrows, so we'll be able to just exit out of this area and reset.
And speaking of Arteezy, the next item he's working towards is going to be a heart. I think it's really important to be able to survive that initial burst if he does get caught in Ravage, because, oh no, and they got Aegis again.
I mean, it's only a matter of time with the way that Quincy's playing.
So it is important to be able to survive through the Ravage, because there's no way for you to really reset the fight or do anything, and that's kind of in the story of the game. If you get stunned once, the burst damage coming out of Quincy crew is incredibly high. So Naga has to look to bulk up at this point, right? But it still feels so hard.
Well, they don't want to give Naga any time to bulk up because they immediately teleport over to their shrine. And are they going to be able to keep him alive for long enough? It's not looking good here for Arteezy. He's going to try really hard. No, he's going to pull Kazu, and they'll get a kill on crit. And then Io will disconnect to the game because they have relocated by accident now. It's like he dropped, unfortunately. But wow, like, look at how fast they made that decision. They knew that he was over in that area, and they just instantly made their way there.
Yeah, this is a rough pause because Nightfall's stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? He's got no TP. Ponlo cancelled it with Ravage.
It's a watermelon and a siege creep, actually, but yes.
That's true. It is. Ravage was used to cancel his TP, but honestly, it's worth it. He's just gonna die. They still have the Aegis. If they kill off Nightfall here, he doesn't have buyback. They can just run down bottom and potentially finish the game. So, yeah, I mean, even if it weren't paused, they would have been dead anyway, so whatever. Life's tough. So.
Makes you wonder when Milan exactly, like, dropped, though, or, like, when he started to disconnect, right? If they might have been able to do even more, necessarily. But, yeah, like you said, you know, Nightfall most likely dead either way.
Yeah, Milan's in the triangle. Relo is still 12 seconds on cooldown, so he's just happy to be there. That's pretty much a good
He's just happy to be invited to the fight.
Yeah, you know, if you disconnect and you reconnect and your team's pretty much killed the rest of the enemy team, that's a good feeling in Dota.
That's very true.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of weird because if all it took was for one really bad fight to make you lose your entire lead on Evil Geniuses, then we didn't give enough credit to Quincy Crew's lineup and like the strength that it could possibly present. Because if you are playing from ahead the entire game versus a team that was dependent on winning their lanes who didn't, but all it takes is one fight, maybe there is something slightly wrong with the game plan overall.
Well, as predicted, Nightfall was slaughtered here in this bottom area, and already you can see Quinn making his way top. even go for the reload play because they were hoping that they could grab someone, but
Yeah, but what I mean is, sure, some unfortunate things do happen, like that that Void Spirit not getting pinned to the tree, but you shouldn't lose the entire game on the back of one thing, right? It felt like at that
Agreed.
point they should have cemented their net worth lead enough, but I think it was just Quincy Crew taking every opportunity that they could on the map. So they've got a lot to prove, honestly. They showed us that no, we're still Quincy Crew and we still play incredibly high tempo.
I mean, I would say this region going into it, definitely in my mind was one of the most like balanced, I guess, where anyone, you know, could really, depending on which one showed up for the day, could take it. But oh, Abed, that feels bad. Does have buyback though if he wants to expend it.
Yeah, still 10 seconds, no mores. At least he's respawning. They can actually set up for a fight here, but it's still looking to be very difficult. This TA can just stand high ground and hit the tower, and she's still got the Aegis, right? Little to no punishment. If they extend their spells to kill her, she's just gonna have a Ravage behind her and a BKB when she's waiting to respawn.
Nice fast fingers over here and putting the Nightmare over onto R. They're going a bit deep here on the side of Quincy. BKB coming out from Nightfall. They're going to try to blow up Quinn. That Naga Siren ulti, though. The song coming out, landing over onto multiple. What are they planning to do with it, though, I guess is the question. Looks like it's just going to be a bit of a reset. Gonna throw out a little net here, try to hold Pawn Low into place. They don't want to have to worry about that big ulti. But again, you still have the Aegis online for you are. Okay, the jump forward here, refresh here, coming up from Nightfall, but the silence and the bashes, he just can't do anything. He's dead. No buyback.
Yeah,
Jumping over to the back lines, can see Jerax, he just gets exploded here thanks to UR. And they call GG. Evil Geniuses has had enough of this game number 2.
And at least they're laughing, right? They're like, yeah, we missed stuff. Let's try again next time. But that was